And on this video, we're going to be going over the top 10 left fielders right now in Major League Baseball. So let's get into it. What's going on, baseball fans? My name is Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast on the Laracuente Ledger Network. And as I said in the open, we're going to be discussing my picks for the top 10 left fielders right now in Major League Baseball. MLB Network does this countdown every single year, and they have their pundits decide, and I make my decision. So I also encourage you, sit down, take a look at the list of available left fielders, and make your own judgment. And see just how difficult this list is to make when factoring your personal bias, your favorite team, your favorite players. And see just how difficult it is to try to be objective and name the top 10 left fielders right now. So, let's get into it. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you guys know, if you hit that subscribe button down below as well as that bell to stay notified, you are doing a huge service for us here at the Laracuente Ledger Network. And you're also doing yourself a service by being able to be notified and alerted every time we drop new content. And if you maybe haven't heard up to this point, we have launched our Patreon account. And we have some exclusive content that is over there now and even more that's coming. So make sure that you join us over there as well as you help support the channel as we continue to grow. But let's get right down into my number 10 selection for the top 10 left fielders right now. And with that 10th selection, I have selected Adam Duvall. When you look at what Duvall has done over the past few seasons, he's actually been an underrated and quietly very good player. So during a 98-game span between 2019 and 2020, Duvall would hit 26 home runs, drive in 52, and honestly play surprisingly very good in defensive terms for the left field position. So when you look at this countdown going into the 2021 campaign, you're going to want to have somebody that you can kind of rely on, and as long as he remains healthy as he did in the 2020 shortened season, we will likely see Duvall hit these numbers or even possibly increase them. So now as we move on to number 9 on my list, it is Dominic Smith of the New York Mets. When you look at Dom Smith, this guy is somebody I definitely would not have initially put on this list. But looking into the numbers, Smith actually played relatively well in left field and hit extremely well. When you look at the fact that this guy was a first baseman and got completely ousted by Pete Alonso, there was going to be a struggle for him to find at-bats, to find positioning. But when he found those at-bats, especially during the 2020 campaign, he really elevated his game to a new level, thus making his way onto my list. Now, number 8 on the list is actually somebody that was on this very list last year, and that's David Peralta of the Arizona Diamondbacks. When it comes to David Peralta, he is a very underrated superstar out in Arizona, and that's the reason why he's so underrated and doesn't get the national recognition, simply because he's playing for the Diamondbacks and not like a West Coast team like the Dodgers or an East Coast team like the Yankees. When you look at what Peralta does, he's a very good outfielder in terms of defensive purposes, as well as being a consistently good at-bat each and every time he steps into the box. So David Peralta makes the countdown at number 8 on my list. When we get into number 7, it is a personal favorite of mine, and that is Eddie Rosario, formerly of the Minnesota Twins. Now, when it comes to Eddie, this is a guy who is a sleeper pick, in my opinion, to be one of the best players that nobody really knows about. Eddie is a guy who can hit for power. He's not really going to hit for a great average, but he's going to play solid defense. He has a very good and underrated arm, in my opinion, and he's a solid base runner. So when you're looking for a guy to plug into left field to play every single day for you, Eddie Rosario is a guy who can really bring you a very good and cost-effective player, in my opinion. I don't necessarily believe that as some of the other guys on this list, as we increase up the rankings, are going to cost you quite a bit of money on the free agent market. Eddie right now, as of this recording, is still a free agent and very easily could find himself on a contending team and really help push them to a new level. As we head into number 6 on my list, this is a young man playing in the Chicago White Sox organization, and that is Eloy Jimenez. When you look at what Jimenez was able to do, this is a guy who is on the precipice of superstardom. There's no doubt in my mind that as he continues to progress in his career, he's just going to blossom into a huge, huge star for the Chicago White Sox and for Major League Baseball. I think when you look at what he was able to do inside of that batter's box for the White Sox over the last couple of seasons, this is a guy who is just now starting to scratch the surface of how good he can be. Now, as we get into the top 5, I want to stop for a moment and let you guys know, once again, this is a personal list. You guys may disagree, you may agree with me, but this is something that I encourage all of you out there, all of you baseball fans out there to do, to try to really sit down and work out this list of bringing your list down to just the top 10 players at the position and realize just how difficult it is to come to this list. If you have done that, let me know that down in the comment section below. Let me know who makes your top 10 left fielders right now. So let's move on to the top 5. And coming in at number 5 is Clint Frazier of the New York Yankees. Now, when people think about Clint Frazier, they thought about the lightning bat speed that Brian Cashman tagged him with when he was first acquired by the New York Yankees. But Frazier was never really given an opportunity throughout his time within the organization of the New York Yankees. Now, this past season in 2020, a lot was questioned about Clint Frazier going into it. Would he be able to elevate his defensive game, which was very poor by most defensive metrics, and the eye test would leave it lacking as well. But when you look at the offensive ability, you could see that Clint Frazier just needed the opportunity to play every day to bring that lightning bat speed up on a consistent basis. 2020 would offer him that opportunity and thus giving him the ability to really put on display what his talents were, and he would work very hard on improving his defense and being named as one of the Gold Glove finalists. Going into the 2021 campaign, the New York Yankees are, at this moment, looking to rely on Clint Frazier as their everyday left fielder. I, for one, am very excited about the opportunity to have Red Thunder out there every single day. I think that he's improved his defense and has that lightning bat speed to speak of. So it's going to be good to see him going out there every single day for the New York Yankees, thus making my top 5. Now, as we head into number 4, it is going to be Lourdes Gurriel Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays. When you look at Gurriel, this is actually a very impressive move for him because he played infield for the entirety of his career professionally, both in Cuba and in the United States, up until the Blue Jays brought up Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. So they needed to make room for Lourdes, moving him out to left field, and he's blossomed into one of the best left fielders in the game, in my opinion. When you look at what he has, the ability he has to get the bat on the ball, that's really what's going to drive him in this position. This is an offensive position, and that bat that he possesses is going to keep him there. Not to mention that he is a solid and serviceable outfielder in left field, so there's no real reason at this point to move him around to any other spot, bringing him in at number 4 on my list. Now, as we head into the top 3, the finalist for my top 10 left fielders right now, we begin with Michael Brantley at the number 3 spot. Brantley has been the picture-perfect poster boy of consistency when it comes to putting the bat on the ball and being a consistently difficult at bat each and every time he steps into it. Now, when you think of Michael Brantley at this point, he is a little bit older and one of the elder statesmen on my list, but that has not diminished his output in terms of his offensive game. Defensively, we've seen him make a few very spectacular plays, namely against my New York Yankees, but when you look at what he does on a consistent basis, he puts himself into a position in the outfield to be able to make the routine plays very consistently. Is he going to give you the kind of flashy plays that some of these guys will? No. But that's not what you need from a good, solid, serviceable outfielder who possesses the bat that Michael Brantley does. So, as the 2021 season approaches, when you're looking for a legitimate threat at the plate from a left fielder, Michael Brantley is one of your guys. Now, as we get into the top 2 left fielders in the game, we begin and placed at number 2, Christian Yelich. Now, this may seem like a huge fall from grace, as Christian Yelich was the number one left fielder, in my opinion, over the last couple of seasons. But injuries really hampered him and kind of stunted his ability to kind of continue on that path to greatness as the top left fielder in the game. 2019 would see Yelich suffer and deal with injuries, while 2020 would suffer inconsistency and ineffectiveness, thus dropping him to number 2. It's a huge drop down. But when you look at what Christian Yelich could provide in 2021, I do believe that he is going to be back to his top tier form and could easily push him back up to number 1 in next year's countdown. So that leaves the number 1 left fielder in the game right now heading into the 2021 season, and I do believe that Marcelo Ozuna is that guy. The offensive output that Marcel would show us in 2020 was absolutely phenomenal. There's no doubt about it in my mind that going into the 2021 campaign, Marcelo Ozuna is the top left fielder. During the shortened campaign, Ozuna would hit 18 bombs, drive in 56, and have an incredible slash line, which is batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage of .338, .431, and .636 respectively. Ozuna isn't going to be a stellar defender, but he is going to be league average, which is good enough. And while league average may sound like it's a knock on his defensive ability, as long as you're not costing your team runs, you're in the positive category, especially when you have a bat the way that Marcelo Ozuna does. So this has been my list. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Give me your top 10 left fielders in the game right now heading into the 2021 campaign. And once again, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well as the bell so that you're notified and alerted every time we drop new content here for you at the Laracuente Ledger Network. And if you haven't already joined us, make sure you head over to patreon.com, search for the Laracuente Ledger Network, and join us as we have a lot of exclusive content that's going to be coming out just for our Patreons. So make sure you keep it locked in here on the Laracuente Ledger Network as we bring you more coverage of our top 10 for every position in Major League Baseball this year. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.